Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Graham Hales. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. I invite you now, if able, to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
G'day. Today we remember and pay tribute to Flying Officer Evan Charles Patten. Born in the inner Melbourne suburb of Prahran on the 15th of February 1922, Evan Charles Patten was the son of John and Priscilla Patten. The Patten family lived in the suburb of Hawthorn. Growing up, the young Evan Patten attended Box Hill High School. Following school, Patten worked as a junior clerk before enlisting in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 15th of August 1941 at the age of 19. He began training as a wireless operator and air gunner, and in August 1942 he embarked in Sydney for overseas service. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, Patten was one of almost 27,500 Royal Australian Air Force pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. After arriving in Britain in November 1942, Patten underwent further specialist training. On the 25th of June 1943, he was posted to 460 Squadron. As part of the Royal Air Force's Bomber Command, 460 Squadron was equipped with 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bombers. Patten served with 460 Squadron until November 1943, flying a full tour of 27 operations. He flew in G for George, the famous Lancaster displayed here at the Australian War Memorial in Anzac Hall. After completing his tour with 460 Squadron, Patten joined 27 Operational Training Unit, where he served as a wireless instructor. During this time, he met Squadron Leader Eric Page Langlois, who was piecing together an experienced crew for a second tour. Patten joined and commenced training at 1661 Heavy Conversion Unit. Following completion of the course, on the 13th of August 1944, Patten and his crew were posted to 463 Squadron, the Australian Heavy Bomber Squadron serving in Bomber Command. Patten flew 11 operations with 463 Squadron before he and his crew were transferred to 467 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force, in October 1944. On the 30th of December 1944, Patten married Gladys Muriel Patten of Liverpool, who he had met during his time in England. On the night of the 3rd and 4th of March 1945, Patten was flying on his 7th operation over Europe with 467 Squadron, his 45th in total, when he and 4 of his crewmates were killed in action. Langlois' Lancaster was taking part in a large raid on the Dortmund-Ems Canal in Ladbergen, Germany, when it was shot down by an enemy Messerschmitt Me-110 night fighter. Patten, his fellow Australian crewmates, Wing Commander Langlois, Flying Officer Charles Cameron, Flying Officer Alan Reid, and British crewmate Flight Sergeant John Scott were all killed in the incident. The 2 survivors, the Australians Flying Officer Joseph Wilmot and Flying Officer Ray Taylor, who spent the rest of the war as prisoners of war, both reported that all of the crew managed to bail out and land safely. It is believed that the 5 killed were recovered and murdered by German SS troops. Their place of burial is unknown. Patten was 23 years old. He was posthumously awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. Today, his name is commemorated upon the Air Force's memorial overlooking the River Thames. The Runnymede Memorial lists all the missing British and Commonwealth airmen with no known grave. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flying Officer Evan Charles Patten, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.